question within the time allowed for tonight's meeting. For these same reasons, we ask that you only ask one question per person. If time allows, there may be an opportunity for those with more than one question to come back to the microphone. And along this journey, I will remind you of your 2 minutes.
This is not the way the other ones work.
Mr. Cleaves.
Why you change the rules?
Good evening.
Hello, Mr. Cleaves. The rules
Have been changed.
no, the rules have not necessarily been changed. They, if you noticed, I don't know, were you at Hurley? We gave these same rules at Hurley, and we have asked you and those who are participating to give your questions. We're not saying you can't ask your questions, but everyone who wants to ask a question should have an opportunity to do so. The meetings are only 90 minutes, and we want to make sure that everyone who has a question gets an opportunity to do so. They're residents as well, and they should have the same opportunity. If we still have 15, 20 minutes left and you have a follow-up question, there's time allows, get back in line. We did it at the library, and we're doing it here.
No, maybe what you should do is you leave and let the citizens have a meeting, and then we bring to you what our problem is. 2 minutes in to address the problems that we're experiencing in the community.
Sir, you bring up a great point. Citizens can have a meeting, and we'll be open to receiving your suggestions, however you'd like to share them. But for the purpose of these meetings that we're having in the ward, we would ask that citizens will respect their neighbors and respect the process, and 2 minutes to share your concerns. Mike will respond to your concerns, and if the time allows, you'll be allowed to get back in line and ask a question. Thank you. We're going to start with our question and answer period.
The meeting can only last.
Only on public access.
Hi, I'm Councilman Michael Sargentson, and I want to encourage everyone to come out Tuesday, February 28th, 6 p.m. at Nethercutt School to the 8th Ward Emergency Manager meeting. Here you will be able to ask questions, give your opinions, and be a part of the solution. Please show up Tuesday, February 28th at Nethercutt School. Be a part of the solution. Tuesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. And remember, Flint is a great place to make better.
Mr. Caswell. Good evening, Michael Brown. My name is David L. Caswell, and I'm here tonight representing the Eastside Business Association. We listened attentively to the focus that you had for the terms that you're going to be here, and we would like to add one additional thing that you should deal with during your tenure here as emergency manager. Our group sees the illegal removal of aluminum siding as a major issue for the city of Flint. When this happens, it destroys communities. Our group believes that the city can and should do more in this area. We believe we should not raise a problem with you unless we provide a solution. So our group has prepared a committee, and we have studied this issue. I have, before I leave here tonight, a proposal that I'm going to give to you that comes from the committee. The proposal is not a new proposal. We drafted this proposal in 2006. Since then, we've had a new mayor, a new city council, and from our viewpoint, the problem is becoming worse. In the proposal, we identified 5 key areas that we want you to take a look at. You'll be able to read this when you read the proposal. These are changes that we'd like to see with the city clerk, the property owners that own these buildings, salvage yards, the people actually removing the aluminum, and the Flint City Police Department. We don't see this as your problem. This is a community problem. And we want to let you know that our organization is here to brainstorm this issue with you and to try to find a solution to it. We feel the time has long since passed that our community should have come together to find a solution to this problem. And the outline that we're presenting to you tonight is meant to be a guideline where you can begin.
Thank you, Mr. Caswell, and this has been an issue that I have heard at every meeting, so I will get with the chief, the clerk, and really the other people from the city side, and glad to kind of follow up. Let me read the proposal. Thanks.
My name is Sally Haywood Leonard. You say that you're addressing the COPS program grant and you're talking about mini stations. So it appears that you're talking about the Mott Foundation grant. However, on September 28th of 2011, Levin and Stabenow announced grants of $1,225,638 to the Flint Police Department for 6 officers. That announcement came out in the Flint Journal same day. It was to hire or retain 6 Flint police officers. To the best of my knowledge, from what I've been able to find out, those officers have never been brought back. Detroit, on the 20th of January, announced they got a new federal grant to keep 108 officers on the street. Now, on June 29th of 2011, the COPS program had a hiring program modification for post-application layoffs for the grant that we received. So I guess I would like to know what is happening with this grant.
Yeah, I might have to ask Chief Block to come up and address that. What I can say is we are pursuing grants from both the state and the federal government in relation to police. I can tell you that. Thanks.
Good evening. Mr. Brown,
Just 1 second. I'm going to ask the chief to respond.
All the officers that have retired from the City of Flint Police Department since that announcement have been replaced. We are at the same amount of officers prior to whatever that newspaper article stated, and we are today. As far as the COPS grant go, we're in the process of hiring officers. We're in the process of looking at hiring officers now. So the grant, we have accepted the grant, and we are in the process of hiring additional officers.
If you still have questions.
Well, first he said he hired them, and then he said he's in the process of hiring them, so.
It's both. He's replaced, I think what he said is he replaced the 6 that retired, and he's in the process of hiring more.
That's the 6 that retired. But what about the ones that were laid off?
Well, we don't have any more layoff, okay? Let me go to Mr. Timmons.
Good evening. I have a question I'd like to ask you, Mr. Brown. I think in the city of Flint we have absolute power. Am I correct?
Turn it off, Frank.
Put it to your mouth. Put it to your mouth, Frank. Up closer.
I believe that you have absolute power in the city of Flint. Is that correct?
No, I don't have absolute power.
You can make the city concerned with water bill and etc. I give you an example. Every month my water bill runs close to $200. And my mother-in-law lived across the street from me. He didn't want living in the house, and she getting a bill for $100-something. So since you're the emergency man, you have all the power, why not take the rate like when it was 3 years ago? I remember at one time we paying the water bill a quarter. Now we pay more a month than we paying a quarter. So with the citizens of Flint being ripped off with the water bill next year, because that's the only cash money you get the water and sewer from. So I guess you got to take that money and do whatever you want with it, etc. And the citizens are stuck with the bill. So I'm saying all citizens in this community need the water rate low. And it's too high. It isn't justified. Paying for service, you're not really getting it.
Thanks, Mr. Timmons. What I would say about the water rates is, you know, we use Detroit water. We're paying more for that water each year. We've actually had a double-digit increase in water from Detroit for at least 5 years, and projected out over the next 5 are double-digit increases. That has to be passed on. That's just part of the process that we have to do. I think what happened for about 4 years, those costs were not passed on. And so we've had to make that up. And so citizens have seen a higher rate. And that's one of the issues. I think there's leakage. You know, we have an old system. We lose about 30% of the water. So there's major challenges there.
Okay, you came in and you fired people or laid people on in City Hall. I'd like to know, and then you rehired people. I'd like to know the people that was laid off or fired. The new people that are coming in, are they getting paid at the same rate that the people left?
No, actually that's where I'm getting the savings from. For instance, nobody that I've hired is getting any benefits. So no health care benefits, no pension, and actually I'm paying them at a rate that is less than what we were spending before.
So they aren't going to get called back the ones that are being laid off, or?
We don't have any money, okay?
Even with the money, whenever you get money.
Again, I think one of the things I want to say is folks don't realize how deep the hole we're in. You know, that $12 million deficit I talked about in the general fund, we have those other funds, water, sewer fund, we have deficits in many of those funds. It's going to be a while before we get back. We're going to have to learn to live with less and yet still try to deliver services to people. It's a major challenge that we have.
Sir, my name is George McKenzie Jr., just for the record. I would like to ask you a question about this GM property that is adjacent to the water plant, that is contaminated, that they even said they couldn't put a steam turbine. They didn't want to put a steam turbine for the original powerhouse because they would have to remove 8 feet of ground because it was contaminated, and that they said GM trying to sell it for another company, they would have to skim off 4 feet of earth through that whole complex and have it stored somewhere so that another company could come in and buy that. And I'd like to know, sir, how do you expect to run a power plant, a water plant, from the Flint River with all those contaminants that we know are there, leaking into the Flint River and having safe water?
Well, you know, one of the things we've been able to do is to secure EPA funding for the brownfield sites. And also we have the Racer Trust, which was set up to clean up some of those sites. The particular one you're talking about, I'd have to yield to one of my staff, but I'd be glad to kind of talk or have them talk to you about that particular site offline. I don't have the details on that. What I can tell you is we've done a good job of going after the EPA money for the brownfield sites, and we do have a considerable number of brownfield sites.
Sir, you also have tunnels for that complex. And I don't know if they were ever filled in or not. And if they have not been filled in, they're full of water. And when the spring comes, they will breed mosquitoes. And these mosquitoes will give us problems. And I would like for you to address me on that. Do you know